First of all, it's all about the people. We brought people that could make fortune in other companies, but they like the mission of solving hard problem. It's everything is Cognata is open. We're working with open spaces and open rooms. Everybody knows what everybody is doing, although we're like close to 70 people already. So we're kind of like both for the R&D and the product and marketing and the sales, they know what are the problems we're trying to solve, how we're going to do it, and they're communicating all around. It's kind of like an open way of communicating what you do, and people love that.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel. Welcome to another episode of 20-Minute Leaders. Let's talk about the autonomous driving space. Meet Danny Atsmon, CEO of Cognata. Danny is a seasoned technologist and subject matter expert in the domains of machine learning, computer vision, and automated driving. Leveraging this unique expertise, Danny has been in the business of launching high-tech products for more than 20 years. He served as Harman's, now Samsung, Director of Advanced Driver Assistance Systems and Senior Director of Machine Learning, and has co-founded several technology companies operating in the intersection of artificial intelligence and automotive technology. Danny Atsmon, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Michael. Great to be here. How are you?
I am doing fine. Thank you so much for joining me. I love talking about autonomous vehicles and really love talking about deep technology in general that manifests itself towards a greater future that is both saving a lot of lives on the road, but is also just really, really, really cool. With Cognata today, you're really, enabling the development towards autonomous vehicles. If I think about, what kind of thing people would think about in autonomous vehicles in their day-to-day, it's probably not what Cognata does, which I think is also a really cool aspect of what you're doing, because sort of the behind the scenes of how this whole thing is operating. So I'll let you explain the rest. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll transition to talk about autonomous vehicles.
Okay, so I'm Danny Atsmon. I'm the CEO and founder of Cognata. I'm what's called like a serial entrepreneur. It's like my third company in a series. The last top companies were like in the field of computer vision, and the company before Cognata was acquired by the tier one Harman. It was a company called Ion Road. It did advanced driver assistance systems on a smartphone, became quite successful, and was acquired by a tier one. And I ran advanced driver assistance functionality, the generation that you have currently on your vehicle. That's what I was developing. And something 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I thought about the whole problem again, and I understood that the way that the industry is the way it goes, it would never converge and solve the problem without a good simulation platform. You have tons of sensors, a lot of inputs. You need to learn driving behaviors of humans and anticipate the unknowns. And there wasn't any systems that could handle that. So I left my very cozy work in Harman, and we call it go to the desert and now start from scratch. Rethink the problem, how we can solve it better in a much more efficient and explainable way. And that was the forming of Cognata, meaning of the name, cognition and data. In order, if you think about autonomous driving, you're talking about deep learning based technologies. And this is the kind of technology that learns by example. You show it annotated or bounding boxes of people in an image or in a LiDAR view. It will learn how to generalize that. And the way that it was done, when I was developing, was to take manual snapshots or videos and do manual labeling of that stuff. And you need billions of images to generalize that. And this is not the way to go. You need some kind of scalable manner of doing that. And that was the idea behind forming Cognata in automatic way, a realistic simulator that will enable you to create this data. It comes fully annotated with full ground truth that you can learn from and get much faster to what you need.
I love it. Why there were two parts of this question. First, it was why the automotive industry, why mobility, and I want both parts of the answer. And then a little bit about the startup journey and being a serial founder in this space.
Yeah, okay. So let's like three questions. I'll try to remember all of them. So um, why mobility? It goes a long way with me. Like it's one of my favorite things. Like my mother told me that as a kid, when I was 3 years old, I was recognizing all the all the vehicles logos out there on the road. It's something that I loved. And when I got, older, I kind of recognized there were like three platforms that you could like bring innovations. The first one was like the PC. Then the PC was exchanged with a smartphone, and then came the vehicle. Like you see, like the each of generation, like you're like adding more and more compute. So you got into kind of saturation with PC and like the mobile, and now the vehicle is the next platform where you can bring innovation. Now, regarding like starting from scratch. So I'm coming from a family of entrepreneurs. Like I kind of investigated that with my accountants. Like we just try to understand if there was any kind of like in any generation of my family, if there was like people that they weren't entrepreneurs, and we tried like 4 generations, into the past, and they didn't
Wow.
find any. So this is like one. It's like could be that you're like born with like that urge. The second thing is when I'm seeing a problem, or like seeing a technological problem that can have a solution, as from like a very young age, I'm trying to bring new solutions to that. And I really love like the um, the process of innovating and commercializing innovation. Um, so
Right.
you can say it's like family background. You can say it's like the way that I was born. Like, but this is me in a sense.
Right. Let's dive deep into Cognata and specifically into the autonomous vehicle space and the enablement space. Where paint me a picture of the landscape of this autonomous vehicle world, and what is the gap that you've observed as you were founding Cognata?
Yeah, like my background is with the computer vision algorithm design. Uh, that was my expertise. I started like working on that like 17 years ago, and it's the main issue when you are developing an autonomous vehicle. Autonomous vehicle cannot be wrong, or it can be wrong like a human being, and like a human being almost does not do any errors. You do not like go intentionally into red lights, or like you are crazy and will do it, or would not stop on a stop sign. You would do intentionally doing that, but a computer cannot allow himself not to recognize the stop sign or like the red light. Um, and bringing computer vision or perception tasks like that to the level of the human being is a very hard task. You need to find all the variations of this stop sign or of this red light in order to teach the deep learning system that we've started to talk like in the beginning of this call. And this variation, as a human being, you see billions instances of that when you're growing up, and like it's easy for you like to recognize because you saw it, you know how it looks. You are like 18, you take the vehicle, you understand it. You take like a vehicle with a software, you need to teach him. And this like from what I'm understanding is that these perception tasks and the need of like data which is fully annotated and tells you this is like a stop sign or red light, you need those billions of instances which are diverse enough and interesting enough to teach your system. This is something that the industry is lacking, and it's really, really hard to create uh, those data sets in order to teach autonomous systems how to see. So this is like the first stage, and as you can see, like there's like a full industry around it. You can see camera manufacturers, you can see LiDAR manufacturers, radars. All of these guys are investing billions of dollars in order to bring a computer to the level that it can recognize every obstacle that a human with two eyes is doing. The second level that I see as kind of like what stops us is that you need like a human eye. It's only like, let's say, these two eyes are seeing much better than any combination that I saw of like cameras plus lidars plus radars. And you have like a processing power which is 1,000 times faster than any supercomputer that you know out there. So, you need some kind of like balance this equation. And from what we're seeing today, 5 years ago when I started Cognata, everybody was saying, we'll do it in 2 years. In 3 years, there will be like Waymos all over San Francisco. But it didn't happen because this is a hard problem. And what we're seeing today in the industry is that there are like autonomous vehicle applications, but they are limited. You see that, in
Right.
agriculture, you see it with some construction and mining, you see it with some small shuttles. And like you see like the big investments from Waymo and Cruise and Zoox uh, investing billions into getting to robotaxis, which I think they will succeed in 3 to 4 or 5 years. We'll start to see it commercially.
Very, very cool. As you're running this company, how much of the culture and of the perspective, sort of the mission of where you're at is, is rooted in this idea that you're enabling the future of autonomous vehicles rather than, a very cool computer vision, deep technology company. If you're looking at sort of the culture, the people that you get to work with at Cognata, where are you on that spectrum? That where's sort of the motivation for what you're doing?
People come to work with me in general for the challenge. Like I'm trying to solve hard problems. I'm not trying like to take like ed tech or fintech. I know this stuff. We could have been there, but I never liked it. I'm trying to solve something that would serve humanity at the end. And I think they think the mission of like bringing autonomous vehicle which is safe as an actual interesting mission, something that they can work with and can um, um, identify with. Like they like the task, like and they see like that what at the end Cognata brings to the market safer autonomous systems, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
cool to see our clients satisfied with what we're giving them, and their success is my whole team success. They're seeing when we have some customers who are like improving their perception detection by 30%, which is huge, and like pedestrian detection of like small kids. We enable them to do that. Like my team, this is what you would like to bring, and not like another like cookie cutter for edtech.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense. How do you cultivate this challenge driven mentality of solving difficult problems, whether it be through your leadership style, through the way that you approach those problems? So as a leader, I'm asking, what do you do in order to really cultivate and make that, a core foundation of the company that you're building?
First of all, like it's all about the people. We brought people that could make fortune in other companies, but they like the mission of like solving hard problem. It's everything is Cognata is open. We're working with open spaces and open rooms. Everybody knows what everybody is doing, although we're like close to 70 people already. So we're like kind of like both for the R&D and the product and marketing and the sales, they know what are the problems we're trying to solve, how we're going to do it, and they're communicating all around. It's kind of like an open way of communicating what you do, and people love that.
I love it. Take me back a little bit. You mentioned that your mom tells you about it, you already as a kid, but if you go back in time a little bit, what really fascinates you growing up? All the way back to elementary school, middle school years. What really, occupies your brain?
Yeah, like as a kid, growing in the 80s, we just don't know like the PC, the personal computers coming. Uh, I remember going with my brothers to see the new tech in the stores because we could not afford. And when we could afford, I learned English by programming when I was 7 or 8. So that really fascinated me how you can program and bring like games and like some fun stuff into life with that. When I was older, I was starting out to work as a really young kid, like when I was 13, as a programmer. If I'm looking like in high school, what fascinated me, like I liked physics and math, of course, but I think I had like one class on a very old programming language called Prolog. I think it's the first time that I've heard about artificial intelligence and how you like
Wow.
teach a computer to think. That's really fascinated me as like a 16 years old kid. And going from that after like serving in the army in the famous 8200 unit, I started my entrepreneurship stuff when I was 28, finishing BSc and so
Wow.
and trying like to bring something new to the world.
I love it. And where do you draw your inspiration from today? So what in this, in either your day to day, in the challenge, in the mission, in the work that really inspires you?
Today, if I'm thinking about inspirations, inspiration from the wisdom of like other entrepreneurs these days. Looking at the work of Jensen Wang in NVIDIA, how he this guy is just amazing. Like, he brought a full technological roadmap. Nobody believed it was possible. He was insist about all of his AI processor for like a decade until it like finally reached the point. And today they are like huge company, amazing technological entrepreneur, driven by a mission and knows how to execute. I love this guy. This guy, and I met him several times, brings a lot of inspiration of how to do things right when you are a technological entrepreneur like me. Um, Other than that, my kids and my family, like they are bringing the innovation home. There's a lot to learn from these guys.
I love it. Dani, toda rabba. Thank you very, very much. Best of luck with Cognata. Thank you for enabling what's going to be one of the most amazing revolutions that I will get to observe. And then I'm very, very excited for that. So thank you for all the hard work and for the inspiring conversation. And stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, Michael. It was a pleasure for me. Thank you.